Hey everybody, Mr. Mini Painter here. Today I will be painting Snape from the Harry Potter Miniatures Adventure game by Night Models. And I'm very excited to paint this one. It's a very dark character and I'm trying to bring some color into this dude. So let's give it a go. To start up with, I primed the model black. First is the cloak. Because it's a large area, you can easily start with this. And I used a dry brush of Corvus Black to give it a first highlight. Make sure to use your brush against the direction of the folds, if you know what I mean. And the second layer, I'm using Dawnstone as a highlight stage. And you can see here that the cloak is looking very nice already. For the robes, I'm mixing a Cantor blue with some black, Abaddon black, to give it a nice dark layer. In the movies, I never really noticed that his suit has some color. He looks so dark and so grim, but as you can see in the reference picture here, some blue is shining through and it gives him a little bit of color variation. Otherwise he's all black. So finishing up on the Cantor blue and Abaddon black. I'm going to give his flesh a base color of Bugman's Glow. Make sure to thin it down nicely, otherwise you lose a lot of details in the face, and his face looks really nice. I'm a little bit out of focus here, but you get the drift. Don't forget his hand. One hand is in his pocket and the other hand is showing. Just the fingers, because he has very long sleeves. And there we are. Second layer is Cadian Flesh Tone. Leave the deeper recesses in the face untouched and highlight it with pure Cadian Flesh Tone. Or if you want a smooth transition, you can use a mixture of Bugman's Glow and Cadian Flesh Tone. Snape has quite a pale face, so we're going to highlight this a couple of times. Highlight the fingers as well and leave the recesses untouched, so you get a nice dark and light variation. I'm using Palette Witch Flesh to dot the eyes. There are several ways of doing this. You can start off with the black and then add 2 white dots to the left and right of each eye. I like to take the entire eye into white first and add some black dot with Abaddon black. I like to give the eye some direction because he's looking sideways, so make sure to pinpoint your dot exactly the way you want it. Next is the hair. I decided to give it another layer of Abaddon black because I had touched it while dry brushing and I want it to be as black as possible. When we let the hair dry, I do a final highlight of Kislev flesh on the face. Make sure just to touch the tips, the eyebrows, the nose, the cheekbones, the chin, the lips maybe, and the knuckles on his fingers. Now the sleeve, I want to make white, but as you all know, white on a dark surface is very difficult. So I started with a base coat of grey cere. And next, I am using white scar as a top layer. Make sure to let it dry in the meanwhile, of course. And don't forget the tiny, tiny color coming out from under his bluish robe. Now next I'm going to highlight the hair by adding some storm vermin fur to Abaddon Black and create some highlights. Make sure to hold your brush sideways to the hair, to the strands of hair, if you know what I mean, which is an easy way of highlighting very thin parts. I'm doing a final highlight of storm vermin fur to the very top. Only the part where the light would normally fall. I'm then giving the hair a wash of Nuln Oil. I completely forgot to start filming when I was doing the blue robes, but you can see here that the process. I added Cantor Blue to the previous mixture of Abaddon Black and Cantor Blue to lighten it up, and ended up with a last layer of pure Cantor Blue to touch the very edges you want to pop out. So the stretched parts of his upper cloak, the buttons, make sure that you hit the sleeves, and the folds in the lower part of the robe, as well as his pocket. Then for the bottom, the base, these are pre-assembled models, and they include a base, which is very convenient, and they look quite nice. I used Steel Legion Drab to start with a base color. With this dried, I used a shade of Agrex Earth Shade. Just slosh it onto the base because it can be quite heavy if you want. We're going to dry brush it later. Once this is dried, I'm using a dry brush of Karak Stone. Make sure to use a small dry brush and try not to touch your model. For this last part, I'm using a fine detail brush and adding some lines to the edges of the stone, just here and there, not all around, to accentuate the tiles on the floor. You get a nice edgy look. And that's it. That's our Severus Snape. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in one of the future paint tutorials. See ya!